Hello everybody, my name is Kacha and I'm a furniture artist. This week we're doing a raised stencil tutorial in depth. Raised stencil is a very easy way to take your furniture to the next level. I know a lot of you guys out there are so intimidated by this technique, and that's why I'm going to break it down and simplify it for you. There's many ways to do this, but my favorite two ways is just a regular raised stencil using a wall texture or glass bead gel raised stencil. So the first technique I'm going to do today is what I call a basic raised stencil. And I will be using 3D stencil fiber paste. It comes closed and it's very thick, as you can see. It's very thick and it won't come out. This is a good one. That's what you want. The reason the materials matter is because I've tried everything from joint compound, the most affordable one, to the most expensive texture wall materials. And what I find out is that when you're doing raised stencil on your furniture, you want a premium materials, because the most affordable one are going to give you raised stencil, but they're going to come off very easily, and that's not something you want for your furniture. So yes, you can go buy $5 joint compound and it will make you and give you a raised stencil, but I don't recommend it. What I do recommend is the companies that make this specifically for furniture or wall art. So this is the stencil I will be using today. It's called Wallpaper by Redesign with Prima. Today I will walk you through on a small pieces of wood, or actually it's a plywood because it's just easier to demonstrate, but I will be showing you my big pieces I've done raised stencil on big furniture with big stencils. I definitely suggest when you're doing raised stencil, make sure you have a thick stencil. It makes a huge difference. It can make or break your raised stencil, remember that. Okay. So imagine this is a drawer. You got your piece of furniture that you want to do raised stencil. It's clean, it's completely clean, and it's ready to be painted. Before you paint it, you are going to apply some raised stencil because that's how I prefer, and it looks much better that way. So always position, if this is a drawer, always position it in this position, and if you're going to do it on the door, make sure you lay down your piece of furniture. Always have a flat surface to work with. So this is the only technique that I'm going to do raw before painting. Every other technique I usually do after painting. So now that your drawer is flat, because we're imagining this is a drawer, and your surface is completely clean, make sure it's completely clean, you give it a good wash, you position your stencil wherever you want it. And make sure to tape it in place, because if you don't tape it in place, you're risking your stencil moving and you are risking ruining everything, which is not the end of the world. It's fixable, but you don't want to go through all of that to ruin your stencil. I'm just going to tape it a little bit here on the side. Sometimes in my tutorials you will see me just holding my stencil in place without any tape. I don't suggest do that. It takes experience, and even I mess up sometimes if I don't tape it, so I don't encourage you to do that. You got your stencil taped, and now you're ready to apply your 3D fiber paste using spatula. I'm using a little one. They come in different sizes. Just whatever feels comfortable to you, use that. You're going to grab some straight from inside the bottle, and you're going to start applying it. Make sure there is absolutely no gap, which I have. So here I was having a gap, and I was telling you having a gap is the biggest problem you will have. So you have to make sure there is absolutely no gap on your stencil. So I have to tape it on both sides, and I'm going to do it on the bottom as well. You don't want any gap, remember that. If you have a gap, you're going to have bleed through. And if you have a bleed through, you most likely gonna have to repeat the process. In case you have a bleed through and everything looks bad, what you will do, you will going to remove stencil immediately, wash it off outside, and scrape everything from your drawer, because when this is fresh, it's very soft and it's easy to remove. So if you made a mess and you don't like it, just scrape it off and clean your drawer, and you will have clean surfaces and you can repeat the process. So now that I got some fiber paste on my spatula, I'm going to start applying it on the surface wherever I want it. You can even put some here, some there. If you want to look faded, you can play with it as you want. You can add color to this. I never really add color because I always like to use it under the paint. I did this few times in my tutorials. In one tutorial, I created raised stencil with a beautiful damask stencil, and then I painted over it, and then I put some black wax and I put some gold, and it looked gorgeous. Sometimes I just like to paint completely over it, and all I have is a raised stencil. But my favorite part really to do is to create raised stencil, let it dry, paint over it, and put gold on the raised stencil, on the raised part. So what I'm doing here, I'm just like applying it everywhere. This is very thick fiber paste and I love it so much. Very important to be firm. You don't want it to be soft. You can apply this fiber paste on canvas to create texture. You can play with it. You can create raised stencil like this on walls, like a wall art, which I'm going to do soon, one day, hopefully. So just apply everywhere. Take your time. The most important thing is to take your time, never rush your raised stencils. I promise you that is the most important thing, patience. All right, so now that I covered everything, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go over and get rid of extra. I'm not applying so much pressure, I'm just lightly going all over and getting all this extra. If you see that you miss some areas, just go over there and fill up that. Okay, we're done. And now that we're done, we're going to untape this and we're going to remove the stencil. So we're going to lift it now. Just lift it very quickly, don't take so much time. And all you have left is this beautiful raised stencil. Look at this. The next thing you're going to have to do, once you're done, you're just going to let it dry. Don't touch it, don't do nothing to it. Don't stand up your drawer, don't stand up your piece. Let it dry for minimum 4 hours. It depends on the environment you're working in, but I know that 4 hours, it won't dry before 4 hours. I know that for sure. So minimum 4 hours, maybe more. It's good to leave overnight if you are not sure if it's dry, just let it dry overnight. What you can do if you're working, if your drawer is longer and your stencil is small, you can just keep connecting it. But in order to connect your stencil, you have to let this one dry. So you just have to let it dry and then move on. For the stencil, you have to go and wash it out immediately. Why I say outside? It's because it will clog your pipes and you don't want that in your home. So you want to go outside, wash it with a hose, or if you don't have a yard, you can just wash it with, clean it with wipes. It will be much harder, but it's possible. So remember, never wash this in your home, in your pipes. Once the raised stencil is dry, you can leave it as is and paint straight on top of it, or you can lightly sand. I suggest 220 grit paper, just go over lightly to smooth everything out, but you don't have to. Sometimes I smooth everything out, sometimes I don't. It just depends for what look I'm going for. If you want more rough look, then you can leave it like this. If you want more smoother, just sand lightly and you will be all right. So now we will be doing a glass bead gel raised stencil, just glass beads, nothing else, because it gives a beautiful effect, and I will show you how that is done. So you got your drawer and you painted your piece already. Before you put any protection, you're going to do glass bead gel. I've done in the past pieces where I protected first and then I put glass bead gel and then I have to protect again. So I suggest you just apply glass bead gel first and then put protection on everything. You do the same thing, you position your stencil wherever you want it and you tape it and you make sure there is no gaps. Again, if you have any gaps and you mess up your glass bead gel stenciling, you do the same. You remove stencil and you clean glass beads immediately because they're soft and they will be removable easily. So now that you have your stencil on, wherever you want it, and there is no gaps, you're going to use spatula, again, any size you want, and just get it some straight from the bottle and start applying it all over. The same rule apply, take your time and don't rush. Patience is the key in furniture art. You just make sure you cover everything, fill everything up. I've done this so many times. Glass bead gel raised stencil. This makes your furniture something else. Cover everything, and you are going to do the same you did with a fiber paste. You're going to go over and pick up all extra. You're going to scrape it slowly. Don't be so rough, be gentle when doing raised stencils. If you see something is not full, put some little more in there. Okay, you're going to clean your spatula immediately, remember that, with everything, glass beads or fiber paste. And you're going to put that aside. And now we're going to lift it. You don't wait any time, you are going to lift it immediately. First, we're going to remove this tape. And now we're going to lift this stencil and see what is underneath. We have this beautiful glass bead gel raised stencil. Look at this. This is so pretty, and you can't even see the beauty of it right now because it's wet, but when we come back, when this gets dry, you're going to see how gorgeous this is. So the same rule apply for glass beads. Don't wash it in your sink, in your home. It will clog your pipes. Take it outside and wash it outside immediately. And let this dry. Do not lift your drawer, your surface, do not lift it up. Everything will slide down. So let it dry, minimum 4 hours. Again, the same rule apply, or wait overnight. And now we came to my favorite way to do glass bead gel, and that is glass bead gel with metallic paint. This is the best. I just love it so much because the metallic paint gives such a nice touch to glass beads, and it just looks so glamorous and beautiful, and it works every single time. So to do this, we need to have a container, empty container, a little or big, whichever you have, and you are going to pour some glass beads in there. I always prefer to make more than less because, you know, it's just easier, but you can definitely mix some more if you run out of it. When you're doing a big dresser, just make sure you mix plenty enough and you will be fine. So now that I got glass beads in here, I'm going to add some metallic sheen acrylic, and this one is Golden Road. I love gold so much. And you are just going to add as much as you want. Really, there is no recipe for this. You just put as much as you want. I love to put a lot. I pour some gold in there and now I'm going to stir it. Look at this beautiful. It's already so beautiful. Like, and you can use this on canvas, on wall art. You can do this to so many things. It doesn't have to be just furniture. You can do it to your decor. Anything you can think of, this can be done too. So you mix it nicely. And now it's gold glass bead gel. All right. Now that we mixed everything, we are going to get our drawer, our imaginary drawer, and I do the same thing apply. Do this before you put protection. Position your stencil and tape it and make sure there is no gaps. So now that we have our stencil position, there is no gaps, we're going to do the same. We're going to use spatula and we're going to spread it all over the stencil. Some of my most beautiful pieces that I've done have glass bead gel metallic ray stencil on them, and I am just so obsessed with this. You can even do this with two shades. Let's say you mix gold and then you mix darker gold, and then you apply darker gold here and then light gold here, and you just apply here and there. I've done that to my very first piece that I done, glass bead gel metallic ray stencil on the pink dresser, and I used two different shades of pink and it came out beautifully. Okay, now that we cover everything, we're going to scrape this off and get all this extra out. And be gentle. A lot of people are afraid of glass bead gel having on their furniture. How they going to clean it? You're going to just dust it off with a dry cloth. There is no need for any chemicals. You are going to clean it very easily. I have it in my home now for a year and a half, and glass bead gels are not moving. They're there. Everything looks perfect, fresh. So it's pretty safe. Everything is filled up and it's looking good. Just I want a little bit more here. Okay. And now we're going to remove the tape. And now you're going to lift it with both hands very quickly. All right. And look at this beauty. This is so gorgeous already, but as I said, you have to let it dry to see a real beauty. It's just so gorgeous. So the same rule, do not lift this up. You can lift it for a second, but do not lift it. Let it dry completely, minimum 4 hours or overnight. Don't touch it. Don't do nothing with it. We will come back and I will show you how this looks dry. For extra, if you mix so much like I have done now, you can just close the container and this will last you forever. You can use it for other projects. It doesn't expire. I have some that have been sitting there for a year. They're still fine. As long as it's closed good, you will be all right. Here is glass bead gel ray stencil without mixing with any color, just by itself. It's a beautiful, look like a crystal, very elegant. It matches any color. You can do this to any color you can imagine. White, black, purple, pink, blue. It will just give you this nice, sophisticated and classy look. If you want your stencil to look subtle, nothing too much, nothing extra, but I think this is just gorgeous, look like crystals. All right, here we have glass bead gel raised stencil with metallic sheen. It's a golden raised stencil. It's so beautiful. I've done this so many times. You can mix this with any metallic color, any color you can imagine, and it will give you this beautiful glamorous look where you have metallic paint and you have glass bead gel turn golden as well. So this is just so beautiful, sophisticated, and I promise you this works every time on any piece of furniture if you're going for a glam look. This is 3D stencil fiber paste. This is all dry, beautiful, it's raised. You can do this, as you can see, you can do this on any wood. You can leave it as is if you like the way it looks. You can do this on top of the wood, on top of any color. I prefer to paint over it. Let me show you what I like to do with raised stencil. So now that it's all dry, I left it dry overnight, I'm going to lightly sand it. Nothing heavy, just lightly to smoothen out all this, so when you touch it, it's nice and soft. So I'm going lightly over it with the sandpaper. You can touch it and see how it feels. I'm just knocking out the high points in this raised stencil. This feels much better. You don't want to go too deep, because then you're going to lose raised stencil, and then what's the point of doing it? Okay. So now I'm going to paint over this. I'm going to use black color over it, but obviously you can do this with any color you prefer. When you're painting over raised stencil, sometimes it's a little harder to get in all areas, so you just tap it and it will get in there. Okay, so now you can leave raised stencil like this. You just got this beautiful texture under. It's raised stencil. It's not so noticeable, it's subtle, but it's still there. It's just gorgeous. It gives something extra to your pieces. But something I prefer to do with raised stencil is something else, and I'm going to show you how to do that, but we will let this dry first. So now that our paint is dry, we are going to apply some gilding wax, and I will be using this decor wax from Redesign with Prima. I'm just going to put some here. You can do this with a brush or with your finger. I'm going to do today with my finger. And you're going to go over this raised area lightly. You can also dry brush some. I'm actually going to show you how to dry brush. You can do this, take your time and do it with your finger, and I'm going to show you how to dry brush it. Get some gilding wax on your brush, and then you go all over. It goes much faster, but it's more subtle. You can dry brush different colors, the opposite colors, contrasting colors. You can do this with gilding waxes. This looks beautiful. You can apply more than one color. There is so many possibilities what you can do with this. And here you have it. 3 ways to do a raised stencil. This is my 3 favorite ways to do raised stencil, and I think they're also pretty in their own way, but which one is your favorite? I really hope you liked this video. If you did, give me a thumbs up, leave a comment below, and subscribe if you haven't already. I will see you next week with a new project and more ideas. Bye guys!